Now that the World Cup has finished, it's a good opportunity to check our bets and reflect on the competition in general. It was quite a good World Cup for me, and it was quite a good World Cup for a lot of people because the bookmakers continue to make mistakes. And you'll hear people say, you cannot beat the bookies. But let me tell you, you can beat the bookies time and time and time again. And here's an example of how I beat the bookies during the FIFA 2026 World Cup by placing a reasonable bet before it started. So because I'm a bit of a geek and I enjoy going through the sports lines, looking for value in sports makers' books, and to be honest, because I have very few left where I can actually place a bet, I can do that a lot quicker than I used to be able to. So before the World Cup, I was looking through the lines, and I was trying to find value, and one bet popped up as just supreme value. I could not understand how Betfred had priced up this bet. So it was the total tournament goals market. Now, most people, if you're betting on the World Cup, you're betting on the first goal scorer, the correct score, the anytime goal scorer, and there is very little value in those markets, I've got to be totally honest. Unless you're harnessing a promotion, and there was quite a few of those, you could have made quite a lot of money just match betting or value betting the promotions, which will get you banned quite quick. The best way is to really look at those alternative markets. And I placed a bet. Here it is. Here's my bet. I placed over 285 goals. Why did I think that was so overpriced? Well, there was two reasons. First, if you look at the calculation, and in my view, how they've calculated the fair line figure, I think they were suggesting that there was going to be around 280 goals, and that was sort of just under even money. I think they got it totally wrong. So the simple calculation that we can extrapolate here is how many goals were there in the Qatar World Cup. There was an average of 2.69 goals per game, which was the highest. It was the highest scoring World Cup on record. But 2.69 goals per game. But of course, the FIFA World Cup in the USA, Mexico and Canada was different. There were more teams, and because there was more teams, there was an extra layer of competition. It increased the total number of games up to 104. And if you times 2.69 by 104, that gets you 280. So by simple maths, which is what I think the traders did, you could say a fair value, even money selection would be for there to be around 280 goals. And for 285, they put a little bit of extra value on. Although, to be honest, I think they probably should have been pricing that at about even money, even on that logic. But anyway, it was 2.25, great value. But what they failed to understand, or failed to price in to this market, was the fact that it wasn't just more teams competing at the World Cup, it was teams of a lower rank. Teams of a lower rank going up against highly ranked European teams. So, as expected, as I thought, you started to see these really high-scoring games. High-scoring games like Germany 7, Curacao 1, Portugal 5, Uzbekistan 0. And even Canada beat Qatar with a massive scoreline. So it was completely undervalued. I placed a good bet of £180 and returned just over 400. But there was also one other strategic edge to this bet, and that was whilst that market closed on the first kick of the first game of the FIFA World Cup on the bookmakers website, it went in play on Betfair, and I could therefore watch the market over the first few games, start to see what the trends were, start to see if I was correct in my logic. And if I was wrong, I could have exited my position and made a small loss. It was a crazy edge. And it just goes to show these special events where the bookmakers aren't really focusing on all their sports lines. They can make mistakes like this one, and if you're wise to it, you can profit from it. I'm not suggesting that this is going to come around all the time, but the World Cup was, for me, a very good gambling occasion. So thanks for watching. Hope you like the content. Thanks a lot.